Hello my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I am Shannon, and today I have another book talk video to share with you guys. And today we are talking about friends, lovers, and the big terrible thing, which is Matthew Perry's memoir. I'm sure I don't have to tell you who Matthew Perry is. I'm sure everyone knows, but just in case, I'll give you a little rundown. Matthew Perry is a Canadian actor, comedian, author. He starred in the wildly popular, perhaps one of the most popular TV shows of all time, especially one of the most popular sitcoms of all time, Friends, where he played Chandler Bing from 1994 to 2004. And, you know, before I read this book, which was so kindly lent to me by my friend Krista, I knew of his struggles. You know, I had heard of his struggles over the years. His struggles with alcohol and drugs. It was well documented throughout, you know, his career. Even when you watch the TV show Friends, which I loved, I watched it when it aired. I remember watching it with the finale with my whole family. Family members who had never seen an episode of Friends before gathered around to watch it. It was a cultural phenomenon. But yeah, when you're watching the show, you can see the state of his addiction with your eyes by the weight fluctuations throughout the seasons, knowing that when he's very thin, he was on drugs. So I knew this book was going to be heavy, and heavy it is. It's very heavy. It also has parts that are very funny. Even when you're in the depths of some of the darkest things he's telling you, he'll get those one-liners in there and you can't help but laugh out loud at them. You know, that this man is still alive is absolutely incredible. There were so many times when he should have been taken, for sure. I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody more addicted to things than Matthew Perry, and that he's alive is incredible. And that's something that's not lost on him. He mentions many times how he doesn't know how he's here. And he's searching for the why, the reason. He feels there must be some bigger reason why I'm still here. So the book starts off with his childhood. He was born in the late 60s, I believe 1969, and his mom was a beauty queen. His dad was the singer in a folk band. Like, it was just sort of a storybook kind of meeting between the two of them. Unfortunately, their time together was brief, and his mom came back to Canada because she had moved down to, I think, Massachusetts to be with his dad for a while. His dad went back to the United States. His mom came home to Canada, and he came home with her. Now, if you're Canadian, you might know that Matthew Perry's mom worked for our then Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau, who was the father of our current Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. And she worked for him. I don't know what she was, like some sort of assistant. Like, she was with him everywhere he went. And she was becoming kind of a celebrity in her own right because she was just this very beautiful, charming woman. And because of that, Matthew was left alone a lot. And, you know, when he talks about it in the beginning of the book, he talks about how he felt very alone, very abandoned, first by his father, now by his mother for her work. And then, you know, later in the book, he says he's able to look at it as an adult, look back, realize his mom was barely more than a child herself when she had him, and was doing the best that she could, you know, as we all do. And I think that's the thing we realize when we become adults. We look back and hopefully can realize that our parents, no matter what, they did the best they could with what they knew. Is that always enough? No, but you learn to have grace and understanding for them because they're just people, you know, doing the best they can. So when he turns 15, he leaves his mom and goes to his dad in Los Angeles, which is where everything starts kicking off. He meets friends there. He starts getting small jobs here and there. I won't go into all the details, of course, because we'd be here forever, but eventually he lands the role of Chandler Bing on Friends. And he had wanted the role so bad, and then when he finally got it, he was grateful. And he says, you know, for every day of that whole decade, he was grateful. And before he got Friends, he'd already been drinking a lot, like a lot. And getting that show helped him rein it in a little bit. And, you know, he didn't want to let anybody down. None of the actors, none of the crew, nothing. He wanted to do the best that he could because he knew how lucky he was to have this job, and he loved it. Then fast forward a bit, and he has an accident on a film set that leaves him really messed up. His body just in a lot of pain. But the show has to go on, so a doctor comes to set to visit him and gives him a pill, tells him, put it in your pocket. When you're done here, take it. And there's a moment where Matthew reflects, like, if he thinks about that day with that pill in his pocket and thinks, like, if I had never have taken that, you know, what would have happened? What would life maybe have been? Because it's from there that he develops a crippling addiction to prescription drugs. From there, it snowballs. At one point, at, you know, the height of it, or maybe best said, the depths of it, he was taking 55 Vicodin a day. I think it was Vicodin. 55 a day. At one point, he was in a hospital in Switzerland because he's been in and out of rehab. He says he has at this point spent more than half of his life in a rehab facility or a hospital or some sort of mental health facility, something. You know, and he says when you're young, you know, that's one thing. When you're my age, it's not cute anymore. And but yeah, at one point he's staying at a hospital in Switzerland. This anecdote, when he told it, so he was staying at the hospital in Switzerland. They were giving him a certain drug, and they were giving him 1,800 milligrams of it a day. This is a rehab facility that's giving him all these drugs. Eventually they're like, okay, you can go back to America now. So he, at this point, he's incredibly famous because of Friends. He can't just go on a commercial airline. It would cause chaos. So he has to charter a private plane. And it cost him $177,000 to fly that plane back to America. He gets there, he goes to see his doctor because the doctor in Switzerland had told him that they'll set you up with these same medicines when you get home. He goes into his doctor. His doctor's like, are you kidding me? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He's like, you know, we have people that are in severe pain that we give 0.5 milligrams to a day. There's not a chance anyone's going to give you 1,800 milligrams. So he walked out of that doctor, chartered another private plane for $177,000 and flew back to Switzerland to get the drugs. Like, that's how. So from there, you know, there was the alcohol for one thing. Then there was the Oxycontin, the Xanax, the Vicodin, a myriad of opioids, and cocaine. The only drug that he was too afraid to touch was heroin because he knew he would love it too much, and that was the one he was afraid of, and luckily never took that step up. But when you hear about the amount of drugs that was in his system at any given time, it is absolutely crazy. It also talks a lot about his relationships over the years and the way that he has a very difficult time maintaining any sort of intimate relationship with a woman because deep down he feels that he is not deserving, that he is not good enough. So no matter how good things are going, eventually that voice will pop up in his head that says, like, she's gonna find out that you're not good enough and she's gonna leave you. So, as you know, people sometimes do, he would then make the move to leave first so that he couldn't be the one being left behind, because he felt like he could not survive it if he was abandoned again and again and again. And so through the course of his life, there was only one woman who had left him first, and it's one situation that really seems to get to him, because he had decided he was going to be open and transparent and just let his guard down, and that in turn made her, you know, probably for her own well-being, her own good, decide that she couldn't be in this relationship with him and left him. He doesn't mention her name, but based on the context clues, I think maybe it was Nev Campbell. Just the timeline seems to line up there. So anyway, this book, it will break your heart in two. It will make you shed a tear, or at least it did for me. I've long been a fan of Matthew Perry's. I think he's incredibly funny, and after having read this, you know, incredibly just insightful, and I hope for nothing but the best for him. I know, see, here's something I will say about the book. The way the story's told, it starts off with his childhood, but then when you move into adulthood and addictions, he's jumping from place to place, and you can't really, it's not a straight line. So he'll be talking about something, and then it'll be 1997, say, and then it's 2016, and then it's 2001. It's very all over the place. But maybe that's intentional, to sort of show the way everything was turning into a blur, into a fog, days indistinguishable from one another. Either way, if you're a fan of Matthew Perry's, you'd probably enjoy it. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say, I guess. It's hard to give a rating to a memoir. It's so personal, you know, so, but I probably give it, you know, 4.5 stars. I really liked it. And like I said, I hope things, oh, I almost got off track there. I was gonna say how the timeline seems to jump around, so it's hard to know exactly when everything happened. Though a year is mentioned, it's never in chronological order. So I think the last time he was in a rehab facility, at least the last time that's mentioned in this book, it doesn't say the year, but it does say during COVID. So, you know, this is something that is clearly still chasing him. Hopefully now not. And yeah, I hope things go well for him. And I hope that, you know, I hope he finally one day gets to have that family that he so desperately longs for. He wants to be a father. He wants to be a husband. And at the end of the book, he talks about how he feels now that he would not bring those old fears and whatnot with him, and he would be able to start afresh. So I hope that for him. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've read Matthew Perry's book, let me know down in the comments down below what you thought of it, and I will see you guys again real soon. Bye.